Welcome, and in today's video guys, we're going to show you guys at home how to install your very own oak engineered herringbone flooring. Your first job guys, before installing your flooring, is to make sure that your sub base is completely clean of any debris.
Nice and clean.
Right, now that all of the dust has been hoovered up and we're happy that the floor is clean, what we need to do is prime the floor. So all we're using is a watered down PVA, just water it down. All we're doing is sealing the top, so we don't want any dust coming up into our glue. Our primer is nearly dry, so it's now time to mark our center point, or where you want the center of your herringbone to be in relation to your room. For us, we're going bang center, so we're going to measure off our walls and then we're going to chalk a line, which we'll show you right now.
So when you're marking out your centre mark, you need to be aware which direction you want your herringbone to point. For us, that is this way, so we'll be marking to the middle of here, but if you wanted it this way, you would mark to the middle of here.
To get our centre mark, it's very, very simple. We're going to measure the width of our building or our room, and for us it is 4060.
So we're going to take that measurement and we're going to divide it by 2, and that will give us our centre mark.
Now that Chris has got our measurement of 2030, we're just going to measure off of our straightest wall. For us, that's this one here. We'll just measure off and then put ourselves a mark in the centre of the floor, and then we'll do that at the front, and we'll also
put a measurement at the back of the room as well with the same numbers.
So we've got our 2 marks, we've got one on the front and one on the back, so I'm going to give this to Chris, or Foxy, and then we're just going to put some tension. So this is a chalk line on the floor, put some tension in it, and then we just give it, no, you leave it alone Chris, just one person, and then we just ping it, and now we've got a perfect centre line for our room. What we need to do to create our first piece for our install is to make a little triangle piece that's going to set the layout of our floor. So how we do that, we've got 2 right hand pieces and 4 left hand pieces, so these are actually sided. So as you can see, the clips are on different sides, and then we start to assemble these, so one left and right like so. Make sure our joins are nice and good, and we go with another one, and we're just going to constantly adjust these to make sure that all the joints are tight and square, because this is super important, this one. So what we've ended up with is 3 pieces on the left, and then we've got 2 on the right, and with our last left hand piece, we're actually going to set that on the right hand side at the bottom like so. So this is what we should end up with: 3, 2, and then one that just kicks up like that. Right, so now that we've got this little setup, the 2 reference points we want are the very top board, furthest corner, and this little one we added in here, the top corner of that. And then we've got ourselves a straight edge, or a spirit level, and we're going to go from that very point here to the outside point there, and then we can mark that. Right, so what I've just done there is take my pieces together, because I'm going to be using a plunge saw to cut this. If you haven't got a plunge saw, you can use a jigsaw, or you can even use a chop saw. Right, so what I've just done there, I've cut along the line that we created. Now remember, you can take this all apart and cut these individually with your jigsaw or your chop saw, but if you can get hold of one of these, they're easily peasily to use. Right, now that we've got our triangle cut, we've put some 10mm spacers in, because we're going to want a 10mm gap around everything around this floor. We now need to find the actual centre, so it's not the point that everyone thinks it is. It's actually halfway between this piece here. So if we measure the width, ours is 124mm. So you need to take that number and half it. So for us, it's going to be 62mm. So if we just put a little pencil line on our board, and then all we do is we line that mark up that we've made on our board with the chalk line that we run. So we make sure we're bang on the centre. And now we can start marking out 2 lines either side of this, so we know where to glue for our first run. So to mark for where we're going to want to glue, on this long section of board, so the one that's on its own, we're just going to mark the tip here. And then on this short section of board, we're going to actually add another one on. And then we just mark the furthest point, which is here. And now we can move all this out of the way and start measuring and running chalk lines. So when we've marked each side of our herringbone, so the 2 marks we just made, we're going to measure those, as is 470 millimeters from that center line. So we're also going to mark it on the back. So we've measured across, marked 470 this side, done the same on that side, and now me and Chris are going to ping the line. And because Chris has never pinged the chalk line before, he's asked for permission to do it. We've done some consulting and we're going to allow it.
There's no pressure, is there? Why are we going that way? I thought we were going straight.
Come this way, mate. It looks like he may be getting let off of this already. He's not doing a very good job.
Right, that is on that line. Okay.
My line.
Right.
Yeah, so it's just a quick ping. That's it. So then we're going to do the same on the other side. Did you enjoy that one, Chris?
That's very good. Can I do the same thing this time?
You can do the same again.
Okay,
so just
right.
remember,
Let me put that down there. Are we ready to go?
Yeah, go.
Okay, so what me and Phil have just done there is we've marked the edges either side of our centre line, and that is to find these edges here so that we can run the triangle up and down the length of this room. The reason we've done that is so that we don't over glue, cover this whole place in glue and end up not having anywhere to stand.
Right, now that we've got our lines set, we can start to get ready to lay. So we've got ourselves some left hand pieces set on the left hand side, and we've also got some right hand pieces just stacked along, just so they're easy to grab as we go along. We've got our glue, so for us we are using an 8mm notch trowel, but you need to check your adhesive because there are many different adhesives. So now we can start gluing out this little run. Right, so we're going to start gluing out. Just remember, we want to just keep this glue nice and consistent, so we don't want to leave big lumps anywhere. We'll try and keep it nice and equal. And just keep it as neat as we possibly can. Right, so that's our run glued out. So now we've got to get our corners up to our new chalk lines. So we take our first little triangle that we made. We're just going to sit it in to position on that left hand mark, like so. And we're going to get ourselves a right hand piece, remember, because we had to add one to that side to get to this mark here. So we'll just chuck that in there. And now we're going to chuck our spaces in just to stop this from sliding backwards, because this is where we want it now. Here, we've got our corners lined up. We're nice and tight. So now we can start going with our right and our left pieces all the way up. So that's our main run through the middle. We're just going to get a few of these cuts in, and don't worry, we are going to cover how to get these cuts a little bit later on in the video.
Okay, so we're going to continue laying the floor over on this side, but before we do that, we have cleared away all of the excess glue. So what Phil's doing now is attaching a straight edge. We're using a level, but you can use any straight edge down to the floor to stop the floor from moving when we fix onto the other side.
Right, so now that we've got that running and we've done whatever cuts we could, we've got our straight edge installed like Chris told you. We're now going to chalk out for our next run. Now you can just glue this out, but we don't want to get ourselves in a position where we can't just stop if we need to. So we're just gluing small sections at a time. If you think that you can do more, do more. So all we've done is we've just chucked a loose board in there, chucked a loose board in there, and then using our chalk line, we're just going to chalk between the 2 points. And now we know where we can glue to for our next run of boards, and then we'll do the same thing again rather than trying to glue the whole lot and getting a sticky mess. Right, so we've laid the rest of this, but don't worry, we are going to cover it, but we didn't want to cover it twice, so we've got this lot in. We're going to now take our straight edge up. Right, we're not going to need this anymore because we've laid all this, we've got something to fit against, so we only needed it the first time round, so we can get rid of this. So to come off of this side, what we're going to be doing is dry fitting it. Because we've actually run out of the original glue, we've had to change glue because we can't get that again. This has got a much shorter working time, 10 to 15 minutes. So this is what we're going to be doing. We're going to take the correct piece and we're going to dry fit about 10 down. So we want to be doing about 1 metre squared with this because we ain't going to have a lot of time. So when I say dry fit, all that means is we're fitting the pieces together without any glue. So this is not the final finish. It's just so we can see where we're going to be applying glue, which I'll show you in 2 seconds. So we've run in approximately a square metre here, so without any adhesive, remember. So we're now going to take a pencil and we're just going to draw onto the floor around the edge, and that's going to tell us where to put our adhesive. So we'll just go all the way up, following our boards. Right, so now that we've penciled around the edge, we can pull our boards out, and I'm just going to sit them where they're going to be placed, so we haven't got to reach for them. So now that we've got our pencil lines on the floor, we're going to glue out in between those lines, but stay within, because obviously this glue does not give us a lot of time, so we need to be really fast. We're going to get the glue down and get the balls down straight away. So when we glue out, I'll literally just pour a little pile, and then if you just chop it, it's going to stop it from becoming a mess. Then we just use our notch trowel, whatever your glue is specified, and then we're going to glue within our lines. So when you are using this sort of adhesive, just try and be as neat as you can, because it doesn't take long to get in an absolute mess with this. So if you get a bit on you, get it straight off. Get yourself some gloves if you're not too comfortable using it without, and just keep yourself tidy, because it doesn't take a lot to get it all over the place, and then you'll be very mad. Right, and now that we've glued out, we can start getting our boards in. Remember, time is of the essence with this particular one, that is. Right, so we've come from that side all the way down. We're now going to be going the opposite way. The reason is, if we come from the top again, imagine that's the top row, we will actually cause a little trap. So you'll have to keep trying to fidget it into these little gaps. So if you come this direction, again, we're doing no glue because we're trying to mark out where we want our glue. This way you don't get trapped. So that's why we alternate the way we lay. So one way, then the other. So let's get this laid in. So we're going to carry on gluing out our little runs, our little sections. Just remember, when you're doing this, we are alternating. So top down, bottom up. We're going to carry on. And once we've laid as many full sheets as we can, or full lengths, then we're going to show you how we do the cuts. Right, when it comes to cutting in our triangle sections, so these little bits that we've been leaving because we've been doing our full runs, the easiest way for you to do them, so if you imagine that piece is going to go there because that's the clip we need. So this is going to be the longest run. If we flip that around, so we've still got the same clip, and put it next to it and mark where the two intersect. And now that we've got that mark there, so that's represent this length here, that's the longest. So if we take our combination square and using this 45-degree shoulder, if we bring that up to our mark, and then we're going to mark backwards, that now represents the piece that's going to fit in here. So I'll go and cut that and show you what it looks like. Right, so we've cut to our line, and if we just give that a test fit, it should fit lovely, which it does with our 10mm gap. If your walls are not 90 degrees as ours are, so this is a perfectly square room, rather than using one of these, you'll have to use a bevel, but we'll show you that in another video. But for now, we'll just stick to the 45-degree cuts. Right, that one's done. And just remember guys, before I carry on, if you are enjoying any of our content, please chuck us a little subscribe, a little like, and even chuck us a comment, because it helps us to make more of these videos. So, the other side, same process. If that was to sit like this, flip it backwards, go up to our point of the previous, and then to the intersection, put ourselves a little mark. And a good idea for someone that doesn't do this a lot, if you just imagine it, envision that there, you're going to want this to come back here, aren't you? So you can put this on here, have a look, right, that's what way my wall goes, and then we should just mark that, give it a little trim. I'll see you in a minute. And just remember, we are not gluing any of this because we don't want to have to panic and rush. We're doing it without any glue, so dry fitting as it's known. And we don't want to get in a panic because there's glue setting off. While we're doing these little triangles, I always just keep the scraps, don't be using the full balls because, you know, stuff isn't cheap. So any bits that will fit, they will do. We don't need to be using brand new bits. Any offcuts, keep them stacked up, keep them safe. Right, when it comes to our last cuts that go along the wall, all we do is similar to the triangles, we're going to get our pieces, which is this one here, so make sure the clips line up, and we're going to flip it over, go up until we're 10 millimeters away from our wall, and we're going to mark this little intersection. And then because this is our longest side, we're actually going to cut it back from our mark. So we're going to make it smaller. So set our 45 so we're getting shorter. Give that a little cut and go and see if it fits. So that is it. We have finished our herringbone flooring, engineered of course. I hope this video has been a massive help, and don't be shy, go and check out some more of our other excellent videos, and I'll see you on the next one.